Welcome to OHKO, a Pokemon VGC podcast, brand new, so super exciting stuff ahead of us, as a lot of exciting things around the corner. My name is Sierra Dawn, and I am joined by my wonderful co-host here, Joe Brown. New Pokemon podcast. We're starting a podcast. Everyone talks about starting a podcast. They almost never do it, but we actually did it.
Yeah, this has been in the works, and very excited that we're finally getting to the reality of having a podcast together, Sierra. So it's going to be really fun. We hope that everyone's interested. And, we have a lot of fun on cast together. So we're hopefully going to have a lot of fun during the podcast talking about Pokemon and VGC and a lot of other fun things every week. It's going to be exciting.
I also feel like we were made for this for the amount of times that we've had to podcast on broadcast.
Yeah, we were podcasting essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. So for anyone that's like, hey, those two talk a lot. Well, here you just subscribe for a little bit more. But hey, it's exciting stuff. For anyone who is new or don't know who we are, hello. First off, my name is Sierra. I am a Pokemon caster, content creator, cast a couple of other games. I want to try and play competitive. Maybe next season. Maybe that's something for the horizon for the future for the new season. But we'll see just how that goes. And Joe Brown, you can introduce yourself too.
Yeah, well, Sierra, maybe next season you at least know the championship weight threshold, which we're definitely going to talk about on this episode today. But hey everyone, I'm Joe Brown. I'm a competitive Pokemon VGC commentator as well, trying to cast some other things as well. But mainly VGC has been my love ever since 2014. I saw that little electric squirrel win the world championship, and I locked it in from that moment on. I was a diehard VGC fan for the rest of my life, essentially. Okay. And ever since then, I was commentator, and here we are now.
I guess I should say the normal Pokemon intro stuff, too, instead of I'd like to compete, but I don't. What type of intro is that?
No, but you did. Well, you competed. You crushed it at San Diego.
Yeah, I went 5-5. Yeah.
No, but you were 4-0. That's what you have to hold on to. You made a finish. You don't tell people 5-5. You say, I started 4-0. And respect.
It's true. And for my little Pokemon history, I used to play the Pokemon TCG quite a bit. And then I started playing Pokemon VGC during COVID. Qualified for Players Cup 3 and 4. I did do that too. And then I got dropped from both of the competitions because that's when Pokemon picked me up. So I am not as tenured in this game as others are. So I get to learn all the Pokemon history from Joe Brown. But no history on today's broadcast. Instead, we actually have a lot to talk about because this podcast coming out is super exciting time. Going over today, we're going to be looking at the upcoming World Championships that's just around the corner. Also, Pokemon dropped a lot of information on us today. We got the regional schedule as well, changes to the points that are needed for invites, and a couple of different structure changes as well. When we're talking about Worlds, talk a little bit more about the format, kind of how things have been going along, because there is a lot to unpack there. But the biggest thing, Brown, we're going to Worlds.
Yes, absolutely. After a couple of months, Sierra, of us trying to figure out if we were going to Worlds or not, if we would be watching from home or watching in Japan. You and I are both going. You as a spectator, and I'm working the production backstage. I'm the subject matter expert, so I'm not casting. But I will still be in. That's okay. I still be in Yokohama having fun with everybody. So basically, if you don't know the SME, I help out with graphics. I help the casters on match selection and working backstage with production, kind of like a intermediary, like someone who is knowledgeable about VGC, who helps the casters and helps the production. Because a lot of times backstage, not everybody is as well versed as the casters on what's going on. So I'm very fortunate through our production company, Paperlight, that I'm able to head to Yokohama and fulfill that role.
Especially, too, you weren't originally planning on going because
I wasn't going to go.
This is a big trip. No, it was definitely a decision to go. So, like Joe Brown, I wasn't picked up to cast, and it was a lot of decision making whether I should go or not. Not because I didn't want to go, but I'm sure anyone who's going to Worlds knows this is a lot of money. So yeah. Finally, just one night was like, you know what, we're gonna rip off the Band-Aid. This is the first ever World Championships ever in Japan, so being able to go to Yokohama, well, it's there. That's just going to be an unreal experience, honestly.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we should go to blood drives and sell our blood to get extra money, pick up extra cash to try to recoup a little bit on this this trip, like, I will say some things were definitely, like, you look at the yen to US dollar conversion, like, some things are not as bad. Like, hotels have really, when I've been booking, I'm going for 2 weeks, so I guess we should say I'm actually leaving really soon, so gonna be maybe by the time this is up, I don't know, I might be in the air as this is up, not really sure, heading over to Japan, but I'm excited that it seems like a lot of food options aren't too crazy expensive. Maybe like the really cool statues we want to buy are going to be a little tough, but like if you want to have some ramen and some other local food experiences, like it doesn't look like it's going to be that expensive for the yen to US conversion. So I'm excited for that at least.
That'll be good, especially I'm so excited for so many different things. The food is definitely a huge part of that. I've already been making plans with everyone, like, all right, when are you free to just like go to conveyor belt sushi, or when are you free to go to this really cool spot, or kind of looking at the people who have, there's like that Pokemon cafe out there too. I didn't get a reservation. I didn't manage to get one. I don't know if you did.
Dude, can we talk about how crazy the like reservation culture is in Japan? Like, okay, so this is the prime example. Let's say everyone wanted to go to the Studio Ghibli Museum in Tokyo, right? Like me and like 5 other friends, like we were talking in the Discord about it, and we all had our laptops set up at our houses, and like, all right. So I think it was 9 p.m. for me in the East Coast, so that's 10 a.m. is when they went live in Japan. And it's so crazy. The entire month of August for the Studio Ghibli Museum went on sale on July 10th. And they do that every month. So, like, the entire 30 days of September or whatever go on sale August 10th. And it's just like, if you're not there July 10th, if you're not ready for the millisecond it opens, the entire next month is out. There's another Studio Ghibli, it's called Ghibli Park. And it's, I can't remember off the top of my head. It's not in Tokyo. It's in another spot in Japan that you can take a train to. So you think, oh, Ghibli Museum, you have to do it a month in advance. That's really popular. If you wanted to go to Ghibli Park in August, you had to reserve a ticket in April. That's how popular it is.
Oh my god.
And everything in Japan are spectator passes, all the other things that are in Yokohama, they're all lottery systems. They're just super into the gacha system in Japan, like it's part of everything.
That has been, I gotta say, I like how we're supposed to talk about all the exciting things that we're excited for, and instead we're no, these lottery systems of everything, because that has been the most frustrating part, especially too since I wasn't sure that I was going, so I felt really guilty about signing up for things if I wasn't going to be going 100% for sure, so there was quite a few things I missed out on. Then I did sign up for, there's a lot of extra events happening at World. I signed up for every single one of those lottery things. Not only did I not get into any of the lotteries for all these cool special like events going on, they emailed me individually on every single lottery to just say that I lost, that I'm a loser. Like, you don't get to go do the special thing.
You just kept losing the speed tie every time.
Like the emails didn't even all come at once. They came like one at a time, like a minute apart, and it was like, here are the results of the draw. Sorry, you lost. And then I'm like, oh, okay, that's a bummer. And then I get another ding and an email comes in, and here's like, here's the result of the next super, super cool thing. Oh, sorry, you lost. Like, what? So that was
that's a brutal way to find out one at a time. Just rip the Band-Aid off, you know?
Yeah, I also, I signed up for spectator badges, because I managed to get one given to me by Pokemon, since I do content creation and stuff, so thanks, Pokemon, you're a real pal, because I also lost that lottery, by the way, to get spectator badges, so I would have been cooked if I was like, oh, I want to go, and I wasn't able to get a ticket then into the event, so it has been a little stressful on that part.
Yeah, but it's gonna be, obviously, like, exciting. It kind of stinks we can't see like Studio Ghibli Museum or whatever, but like we found other stuff. I have a whole 2-week trip planned with some family that I'm going with, and also just some friends after Worlds and things like that. So like this is a one in a lifetime opportunity, Sierra. You know, so we have to really take advantage of it, and we get to see like the SS Anne is gonna be there. Did you see that?
I did.
Right? Like it's so cool. Like, I feel like we have kind of underplayed the World's reveal last year. Where what were they? What's it? Vermilion City or whatever the big city in Gen 1 is with the big mall and shopping center, and No, I'm saying remember in London last year they had you like walk into
through like the Pokemon Center
the city, yeah, and then it transitioned and it showed Yokohama, which is what that city in Kanto in Gen 1 in Red and Blue is based off of, Yokohama. And I feel like we have really kind of underplayed that we are, not only are we going to the birthplace of Pokemon, the motherland of Pokemon in Japan in real life, but we're literally going to the location that was the inception, essentially, of the Gen 1 games. Like, we are going to be a part of the Red and Blue experience, and I feel like not enough of us are really talking about this.
Because not enough people actually started with Red and Blue. It's probably exactly that, right?
God.
It's going to be a little less special for those who started with any other generation and played Generation 1 after, which probably at that point, I don't really know too many people who actually went back to play Red, Blue, and Yellow, so they're probably playing Leaf Green, Fire Red for the first. It's just a completely different thing.
If anybody comes up to me and says like Black and White was their first Pokemon game, it's just like, I don't even want to hear your opinion. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you missed out on way too much to have a valid opinion here.
Okay, I think that's going a little far. I just could never explain, because like my parents got me into Pokemon like right as a little baby. So as soon as I could read, I had a little Game Boy in my hand and I was playing Pokemon Red. Like, it was right out of the gate. My biggest issue with people that have played the games later on and like the later generations first, I'm like, I can never explain that magic of these early generations, because if you didn't actually play them first, that magic is just gone. Like, there's Pokemon Crystal, for example. Seeing those graphics, the Pokeball graphics on the ground, hearing the music, the colors, seeing the
Suicune running away and stuff, like, it was awesome.
It was so cool. So that's the long-winded answer for why not enough people are talking about that part. But hey, I'm excited. I'm not 100% sure how the ship works. I think that was also reservations, but gonna try and get on the SSN if I can. That's cool.
We gotta help the ship captain. He's sick. You know, we gotta get him the medicine.
Wasn't it in the game where you literally had to rub the ship captain's back to make him feel
Didn't he have like a hangover or something, and he needed medicine to drive the SSN?
It was so, I don't know, he was throwing up in a trash can somewhere. I didn't say hangover, but it's
we put two and two together, Oh, the SSN was right outside the city that had legalized gambling. Okay, I got it.
Whoa.
No, we were right next to each other, but there was a lot going on in Gen 1 Sierra that we would not get away with,
Another thing that's now been taken away from the Pokemon games. We're
I think we're all right without that one. We gamble every time with Overheat and Rock Slide and Play Rough and stuff. We gamble enough already.
They took out the casinos in Pokemon. That's why we have things like Fissure and Cheer Cold now. So
yeah.
And the namesake of our podcast, OHKO. Hey, look at that. It all comes around full circle. But that has been the longest, sidetrack ever. Worlds.
Okay.
That's all right. I'm
listening.
Yes, we're back to this.
It's in Japan, I've been told.
It's in Japan, yes. Also, we've been building up, this format with this new game for Scarlet and Violet. And then, all of a sudden, we have Regulation D for Worlds. So that just is this whole new chaotic aspect, too. Because this is the home Pokemon allowed.
Yeah, and, as the ambassador of Regulation D on the large competitive stage, me personally, I feel very much connected to this format. And I think there's just a lot of interesting points. It's kind of confusing because I don't know what Pokemon got chose to come into Scarlet and Violet, because it's not every Pokemon, right? Incineroar is not back or whatever. I know Whimsicott's not back, and so it's kind of oh, okay, these certain legendaries came back, but not these other legendaries. It's the genies are here, but Terrakion and the gang aren't legal. So it's just kind of all over the place. So it seems a little segmented. I don't know if they orchestrated the release of the home to just be Legends Arceus, and that's why, because Cresselia and the genies and all of them are in Legends Arceus. But I feel man, it'd be so cool if we had kind of like all of the like 600 BST legendaries, like Landorus and Terrakion and like, you know, Suicune Entei, like that whole crew all at once in this format, but that's not what we have.
See, I was torn hearing about Regulation D for Worlds because, I mean, we, of course, because of COVID, didn't have a Worlds for a little bit, so Sword and Shield, we just had the one, and it was, of course, our big bad format with everything, and it was fantastic in the end, right? But then we're already seeing Pokemon that we got to see in that already in this brand new game where we got to see all these different Pokemon have this brand new format, and then it's like, all right, we got our genies back, everybody. Let's go. You want to see some genies? So, like, I'm glad that we're not seeing Incineroar and Whimsicott and stuff yet because we already... Well, we're going to see so much of them next year. Like, let's be real. Just a little bit more of a break from them, please.
Yeah, we don't need Incineroar. We need Landorus back, and we need Urshifu, and we need Regieleki.
I forgot about Urshifu.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm talking about, like, the mixed feelings on Regulation D. Because, okay, fine, we don't have Incineroar, but we have Rillaboom, and Rillaboom was Incineroar's, like, best friend back in Sword and Shield. Like, you know, let's say 70% of teams had Incineroar in like that Series 12, like our 2022 season. Like, what do you think? Maybe 50% of teams had Rillaboom, 45% of teams had Rillaboom. It's not like it was that much lower off. So we still do have a lot of like hyper focused Pokemon that are like gonna over centralize the format. I do think what is nice with World specifically though is that because we don't have any events, it's a double-edged sword. Because there are no prior events, it's going to be crazy. The randomest strategies, like, remember G-Stock Lee 1? Everybody forgets. He had Terra Poison Garganacl, right? And we literally never saw it again for the rest of Scarlet and Violet. So, like, there's going to be a strategy that does incredibly well at Worlds that is really not going to remain prevalent throughout the rest of Scarlet and Violet. And that's what I'm excited for, is the just off-the-wall nature of this championship.
I got the two sides of me here, where the one that likes the chaos of, like, there's going to be some off-the-wall stuff that you're never going to see again. Because I love that chaos, right? I love every regional that we went to when we're looking at teams. We're like, oh, let's get the cool things on, right? Like, that's what we want to see. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I want to see, like, the best competition. And all of a sudden, if the format, like, we're too early on to where it's just the wild, wild west out there, it might just be too chaotic to where it doesn't really feel like, you know, it feels like the first regional of a season and not actually too much like Worlds. So I have hope. There's a lot of, we had a little bit of a break, obviously, from NASE going into Worlds, and players have been working hard, but I also, just from talking to people, there's a lot of people that are really lost, and the events that have gone on, like the grassroots and stuff, like, the stuff's everywhere, man.
Yeah, I don't envy players. I see a lot of tweets from people, like, it seems like every other day Justin Tang, like, has the play or he has no idea what he's doing on Twitter, and I think that's really funny to follow.
He's bringing a Palafin in the end, don't be fooled.
Yeah, right. Same as, like Jody and, like, you know, other people, like, they're tweeting, they're like, man, I'm cranking out games here, and I still have no idea what I'm going to end up with in Yokohama, and I feel like that's exciting because that was when I first started playing VGC, and there was a lot less information out there, and there was a lot less, you know, centralization on this is objectively the best, like, you did. And of course it was best of one formats back in the day, which did lead for more creative strategies than best of three. Was like those students, like, man, I just got steamrolled by, like, Hisui and Sneasler or whatever. Like, those things are gonna be cool that maybe we won't have if this was like the end of a format. But at the beginning, some of those aggressive or interesting, let's say, team choices are going to be really cool to watch.
I feel like now too, obviously, getting a day 2 spot at Worlds is just this huge advantage, right? I think even more so now that there is, like, it is a new regulation, because all of a sudden you're not going to be taken out round 1, round 2, and all of a sudden be like fighting your way up with already a loss under your belt day 1, because you go up against someone who has his Ewan Sneasler that you never imagined or anything of the sort, right? So I don't know. It's gonna be. I want to compete Worlds one day, but I'm glad it's not this one. It'll be fun to watch, though. Yeah,
that's always the caster go-to, right? It's going to be fun to watch, is like saying it's not as fun to play as it is to watch, but like, I always felt like that with GS Cups, right? With our, like, legendary formats, like 2016, 2019, 2022. Like, I think those are incredibly fun to cast. Obviously, you got big Groudons and big Kyogres and all those fun things. I don't think those formats are nearly as fun to play as they are to watch the Xerneas and the Kyogres and everybody pop off. But like, the day 2 players this year, enjoy it while it lasts, right? Because we don't have day 2 anymore next year, so enjoy the benefit while you have it. But like, definitely absolutely will be a player that had a team of 6 that they were ready for day 2, and then like Hisui and Samurott like does well, and they're like, man, I don't have a Samurott answer, and then they're going to adjust their day 2 team because of day 1 performances. So I think that's something that we really have not had to experience too much on the VG side before.
Yeah, and looking a little bit more at the grassroots and stuff too, because I wanted to go through a couple of the results from a couple of the events that have been happening and stuff, but it just goes back to, it's kind of just a lot of all over the place. So, I mean, there's things that we're not really surprised about if we're looking at a couple of these trends is, you know, Fluttermane. Fluttermane's everywhere.
Never heard of her.
Let's just be, let's be real here. And then Urshifu. I mean, we knew that Urshifu coming into this was going to be a beast, especially to hitting through Protect. We're out of Dynamax format. Like, how is this not going to be everywhere?
So it's crazy because Game Freak was like, "Oh, Urshifu single strike. Let's lower the base power of that baby. We're gonna bring Wicked Blow down a little bit because it crits every time." But then Urshifu Rapid Strike, because it was kind of just like. It was kind of just like a colossal supporter, essentially, like a colossal enabler in Gen 8 that, like, they didn't future-proof the Rapid Strike Urshifu, and so now you just get to crit 25 base power every time. You have Stab, you have Terra Stab as well on top of that, right?
Oh, no.
Like, you have Tornadus setting up the Rain Dance. You also are holding the Mystic Water item. Like, kind of, I wouldn't say an oversight, because if they didn't think it was going to be as busted, like, you know, good job on Urshifu Single Strike. You created Fluttermane and also lowered its base power. That's kind of a double whammy for the Dark Bear. But Water Bear kind of went untouched into this generation, honestly.
It's kind of good. It's kind of good. But
because what are you supposed to do? Oh man, there's one turn of Tailwind. Let me wait it out. Oh wait, I can't protect in front of this double speed bear that always crits me, so I can't even intimidate it.
You're literally just never safe. You're absolutely never safe. If you're scared of bears, like, you're done.
Gastrodon can take that crit because it takes no damage.
Lou's gonna love to hear that. Yes.
Did you see her tweet on the flight? Lou's
with
flight
the little
out.
With the little Gastrodon.
Yeah, and then Billa blew up her spot because he posted a photo of her trying to set up her photo too. Like, just Billa, you can't do that.
You can't do that. It's not allowed. But that
was so good.
The Gastrodon will be interesting to see if it makes appearance, but the thing that, you know, kind of good against Gastrodon, well, it goes back to the Rillaboom, and there's this one event, so this is the most recent one that I'm seeing, from July 25th. This one was out in Spain, actually, and it ended up being won by Eric Rios, and there is 6 Rillabooms in the top 8 teams.
Ooh.
This was out of 84 players, and yeah. 8 Rillabooms here. There's as many as there is Urshifu out here, honestly.
It shouldn't be, like, a surprise, right? Like, yes, it lost Grassy Glide, right? It does not have the priority, you know, grass Aqua Jet, essentially. Like, it does not have the priority grass move for it to be busted anymore. But, like, Woodhammer also still does a lot of damage in grassy terrain, and you still have the same Tailwind Urshifu team is also the same Tailwind Rillaboom team as well, because there's just something always inherently about Fire, Water, Grass cores. Like, let's just say you slap on Heat Rain in that 3rd slot for Urshifu, Rillaboom, Heat Rain. Like, they
most
just
of them
all under
Tailwind. Don't worry.
Yeah, like, all of them under Tailwind are disgustingly good.
That's so funny because a lot of these archetypes, that's exactly what it is. We get the Urshifu. The graphics not necessarily saying, I think. I'm pretty sure they're all going to be water, though.
Yeah,
you got the Rillaboom, then there's a Heatran, and then there's a Genie on quite a few of these. So I'm not necessarily too surprised. So I'm going for, like, we'll get instead we're seeing a Azumarill for their water type. We got some Zapdos. I kind of forgot Zapdos existed. I shouldn't have, because, you know, Zapdos I thought was pain in the butt for a while, but yeah, I don't know. But even just still, there's so many just things. I don't know. I'm worried going into Worlds that it could just be the Rillaboom and Urshifu Genie show, honestly. We go away from that creativity.
I can understand your worry, right? I think it's a very normal thought, because I think a lot of people are gonna think like, okay, since I don't know what the format is, I'm just going to go with something stable and calm and like consistent. However, like, I know this Worlds is different than every other Worlds we've ever had, because we've never had a format change to begin a World Championship. However, the way I feel about it is that pretty much every single World Championship, like, I've fought people on this conversation. Somebody has to make the call to win the championship, right? It is think about it. Rinnia Sun did not win Worlds last year, and everyone and their mother was running Rinnia Sun the entire season. So think about other years like Sejun's Pachirisu, Wolf with Ray Ogre when 2016 was dominated by Zerndon. Ryota had Choice Specs Tapu Fini when everyone else was running like a very defensive set on Tapu Fini the entire 2017 season. Like, someone has to make a call. And so I feel like that is my hope right now, is that the winner of the World Championship is not just going to use Tornadus or Shifu, Heatran, Rillaboom, Regieleki, Landorus. Like, I think there is going to be a off-the-wall Pokemon that actually does win Worlds this year. That's my hope, at least.
Your hope? Sounds like we're in the prediction part of things, and I know that we had a little questionnaire that we were going to be doing, so we got a little OHKO questionnaire. So, Joe Brown, you wrote up a nice little predictions thing. Are we putting anything on the line for who's the most correct on this, by the way? Oh,
okay. Maybe at a future regional, which we can also talk about the regional schedule, because that was announced. Like, the loser has to, I don't know, buy the winner. I'm trying to think of something simple, like a plush at the vendor, right? Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But not the $12.99 plush. At least like a $20 plush.
$24.99
okay.
plush. We get the 25 or more. All right?
So not the sitting cutie, something a little higher than the sitting cutie.
Yeah.
That's what. Okay. So
all right.
These are our predictions for the World Championship. Who knows? We could be totally off base here, right? And who knows? But that's like kind of the fun of it. That's why we have this episode coming out before Worlds, so we can really get some discussion started. So I will start with question number 1. Sierra, are we ready for the OHKO Yokohama predictions? They're like OHKO Yoko, kind of works together.
Okay. I am ready, and good opportunity too. If anyone else is filling these out, I'm not buying anyone who beats me at plushie, but it'd be nice to know if anyone gets a lot of these right.
Okay, so we're not going to be crazy and say which player wins the World Championship, because there's hundreds and hundreds of players. So, which country will win the 2023 Pokemon World Championships? Go ahead, Sierra.
Oh, that is so hard, because I'm like, so obviously there is that little bit of bias with just seeing the NA season and how it played out, because of course, as casters, that's the one that we were most closely following with their player storyline. But also, it just did seem that NA this year was kind of on something. So I want to say like NA, like I want to say like USA, but I'm also like home field advantage for Japan. And also, like, some of the teams they build sometimes are just so cool, and I'm just, that's where I'm thinking. I don't know. I'm torn.
Well, okay, so for me, I clear cut. I'm rooting for America, obviously. That's where we're from, North America. That's our region. That's our friends. That's our player base. But I'm thinking here, because I got a plushie on the line. I am thinking Japan will win the World Championship, not because of like home field advantage, because like it's not like a regular sport, right? You don't have the crowd cheering on the crowd's not cheering your Heatran on to perform better, to not miss Heat Wave. But my thoughts are, because this format is going to be so chaotic, and the Japanese player base is so much more used to best of one nonsense, for lack of a better word, which is what they're doing with the ICs and the best of one 2,000 person tournaments that got brought down to, you don't get best of 3 till top 8. Like, Japanese players are more used to the chaotic nature that I think an event like this with the lack of information will have. So that's why I'm guessing a Japanese player will win Worlds.
All right. Well, I will. Just so, like, there's no point of us tying or anything, at this point, I'll then take NA. I guess I have to pick defined country. So
if we pick the same answer, it's not the end of the world. We have a couple of questions.
No, I want to pick a different one. I'm gonna say NA. I'll say US. Specifically too, you bring up a really good point about the chaos of like the best of one, but this still is a best of 3 tournament. So I feel like too, maybe some of the strategies will be super, super cool to see and really successful early on day 1. But I think as the NA player base, because it's going to be more best of 3 base, it's going to be stuff that they're looking to make a long run with, as that part of the tournament kind of goes on, or even just once those Japanese teams make it to day 2, then maybe they'll kind of get picked off by things that are a little bit more consistent. So maybe there'll be fun teams. I definitely think they'll play spoiler, but just because of that best of 1 reason, I'll definitely say United States then.
All right, I respect it. On to question number 2 here. Which Pokemon will be on the most top cut teams? Now remember, top cut, oftentimes we have an asymmetrical cut at Worlds. So it's not necessarily the top 8 teams here, Sierra, is the most top cut teams.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be between Flutter and Urshifu, so that's pretty safe right there. I'm going to say Urshifu, yeah, I think Urshifu. It just literally hits through Protect. What more can you want?
I feel like we're gonna hear a lot of that for our justifications on it. It just hits through Protect. Like, what do you want? Like, I'm gonna use Urshifu. It hits through Protect. It can't be intimidated. Like, I'm going to take the other obvious answer here in Flutter Main. I think it's crazy when you look at the results from all these online tournaments that. I think that Spain event also was top 16. And it was 15 of the 16 teams had a Flutter Main on it. And I think that is really interesting that we have introduced strong legendaries from the past and Flutter Main still is not dethroned in the meta. So that's crazy. What you would think with Heatran and maybe some Landorus out there that might have something for it, but nope, Flutter Main's still on top. So that's my choice.
No, that's understandably unfair. I mean, it's funny that we're complaining so much about Urshifu, but then Flutter Main is still, I think, more used at this point and the tournament results that we do have. So it's wait, why are we complaining so much about the Urshifu and the Flutter Main is
we're
right
just
there?
numb, Sierra. We are numb to Flutter Main.
We have fought this battle before.
This is now Urshifu on the rise, right? We can see it in real time, but we are so already used to Flutter Main dominating that it doesn't even register in our heads. Oh yeah, of course it's at 75% usage.
So
why wouldn't it be? Plus, Urshifu can also get out of its fighting typing with Terra Water, so obviously Terra Water in the rain kind of neutralizes that Flutter Main matchup there. But this should be a fun question now.
All right.
Number 3, which genie will be on the most top cut teams? So, and we're not going to count Incarnate Therian, you'd get points either way. So Landorus, Thundurus, Tornadus, and Enamorus. Of those 4 genies, shout out to Jake Muller, which one of them will be on the most top cut teams?
Enamorus. I'm just kidding. That is not a good one. I think this is an easy Torn answer here. I mean, I feel like Tailwind is going to be pretty big. I feel too, that we get to see a lot of aggression when we get kind of early format stuff. So I think just the Tailwind. Plus, there's new moves introduced for the genies with Home. So Bleakwood Storm, insane. Plus, we keep talking about how you enable Urshifu even more than it already is enabled. Well, why don't you Rain Dance and just set that up? Oh, look, Torn can also do that. Oh, you're going up against an Urshifu and you don't want it to body you? Oh, you can also use Sunny Day. I just think there's so much utility to this Pokemon that it's I think it's just the easy choice, honestly.
I think on your end it makes sense because you also said Urshifu was going to be the most common Pokemon and Urshifu's best friend is Tornadus, right? So, they kind of go... I like your predictions here. You're kind of working in tandem there. However, I'm going to disregard your facts and logic and go with the heart and go with the boy Landorus, because Lando does not show up at the World Championships. I think everybody's running scared right now because of priority Aqua Jets and critting through, so my Intimidate doesn't matter. I think people are going to figure it out, whether that's Terra Water or Terra Grass or something else on the Landorus sets. I think my boy is going to have a strong resurgence and a strong start to his performances in Gen 9, so I'm going Lando.
I think this is where you can tell I'm a little VGC baby, because I'm thinking back to Sword and Shield and then Landorus and Dynamax, because wow, was it dangerous, and it could just set up, it has the max airstream. Like, what it could do was just, like, unmatched. I'm also thinking back to Player Cup 4 finals, where it was literally just this Landorus max, like, mirror. It was just insane. But then having that in my mind, I kind of have a tough time imagining Lando in this current format outside of Dynamax, and I think that's where my inexperience with just not having those past years where the genies have been around forever kind of shows a little bit more, you know?
Well, I would say the biggest benefit to Landorus is it now no longer has to do 200% damage to the opponents, right? It can do a regular amount of damage, which is what it used to be really good at. But like, I don't think it's going to be Scarf Lando, like maybe Assault Vest, maybe potentially Rocky Helmet. I think Rocky Helmet Terra Water is essentially I am the anti-Urshifu, Pokemon on the team. So we'll see what happens there. But obviously we love all the genies. Sub question, not for any points, just out of curiosity. Of the two Enamorous forms, which we are very much big fans of, which form will perform better? No points on the line, just a general question.
I don't even know what each form does.
So you have the Therian, which is the turtle-looking one. That's the slow Trick Room user.
I didn't play Legends. I don't know these.
So the slow one has Overcoat, so it's immune to Mungus, can't be spoiled. And it's got like 46 speed or something, so it's a Trick Room user. And the fast one is... it has Contrary, so you can Eerie Impulse it with Thunderous, and instead of lowering your special attack by 2 stages, it increases the special attack by 2 stages. So you either have a Tailwind team, like special attack abuser in the Incarnate form, or a bulky Trick Room user in the Therian form.
I think it would be the Turtle Enamorous, because it kind of just seems like a little too much setup. Like, you're all in. If you're going to be going for the faster one with the Contrary Screech, like, you're all in. Whereas the other one, like, if you're on a Trick Room team, you're all in. But then the Enamorous doesn't have to be the star, because there's already some really big Trick Room abusers, so.
Yeah, I think it's fair, but, like, to that same point, right? Like, there are a lot of other Trick Room Pokemon, like Torkoal and Ursaluna, and, like, some things there. So, like, I would say probably the Incarnate form, the faster one, because, like, there could just be one random, like, cracked player that figures it out and top 16s, and then the slow Enamorous, like, gets top 32 or something. But
not having to worry about a Mungus and Trick Room, because you got that Overcoat, and your other Pokemon, I mean, you'd have to commit a grass terrestrialization to that. You got to have some goggles. Right. All of a sudden, you have a Trick Room Pokemon that, like, it's just your ability. You can put whatever item, you can put whatever moves, and you're always good. Like, that's kind of a little bit of respect given there, right?
True. All right. We'll see what happens. That's just for fun. That's not going to count pro or con for either of us. But I think it was fun since we're talking about the genies, have that little moment. All right. Question number 4, Sierra. If you were playing in Japan, congratulations, you qualified for the 2023 Pokemon World Championships. You're finding out late. You're getting the email very late. Which one Pokemon or set on the Pokemon, like what type of Pokemon would be on your team no matter what? So this is not a points-based question. This is a general conversation for us. Like, I am not leaving home headed to Yokohama without this Pokemon on my team.
Without my Slither Wing.
Oh my god.
All right, so I will say that there have been some people that have been really putting a lot of work into Slither Wing.
In Regulation D, though, with Urshifu everywhere?
So there is videos made about it. There is people that have been making teams. I have been, because of the fact that I am the Slither Wing connoisseur, like, I am being sent these videos. I am being sent these teams. I have not really gotten a chance to play Regulation D so far because I've been busy with work. And I keep promising them when I do, I'll play the Slither Wing team. And people keep then saying, oh, wait, this team's actually cracked. When is Sierra going to play it? I think Boyd also just recently did a video on it, too, talking about the Slither Wing. So there is people out there who are actually really trying to make it work. And I feel like, too, it's like one of those moments like, okay, they're putting in this work. Like, there's something there. Obviously, there's a reason. So I'm going to say Slither Wing on that one.
All right,
they're insistent it works better.
I'll play along. I don't know how else to...
Also, I was told by a player who was actually really, really good that they did have Slither Wing in their builder for a short moment. So there was some part good enough about Slither Wing that they did entertain this. So...
I put Our Believer in my team builder once as a joke, and now it's viable. But I respect your commitment to the bit. I think I think people would also kind of be disappointed in you if you did qualify for Worlds and didn't bring Slither Wing. I think people kind of expect it out of you at this point, so I understand it. My vote is that if I was to qualify, I would not leave home without Terra Water, Trick Room, Imprison, Fluttermane. I think that set is nasty because Terra Water, you now resist the Aqua Jets, you resist the Urshifu, pretty much everything Urshifu or Rapid Strike wants to throw you, the surging strikes at least. You don't resist close combat anymore. But so you resist Urshifu, you have Trick Room Imprison for Cresselia and for Igoraph and all the other Trick Room setters. And Terra Water, I think one of the best counters to that Terra Water Fluttermane set is Terra Grass Heatran. Like, I think Terra Grass Heatran is bonkers, especially with Terra Blast. And from a lot of my practice, like, I had that on my Moonroom team, right? Yeah. And most of the games I played, the other Heatrans are like substitute Heatwave, Flash Cannon, Protect. And they just don't have Terra Blast. So if you go from being weak to Heatran into being a water type, like, I just think it's massive. So it's good against Trick Room, it's good against Urshifu, it's good against no Terra Blast Heatran. Like, if that would, I would start with Trick Room, Imprison, Terra Water, Fluttermane, and then I would figure out 5 other Pokemon if I was playing.
I like how, like, in-depth and thought out you're, like, not even just the Pokemon, but, like, the moveset and the Terra type and everything about it, exactly how it encompasses your team, and I was just like, Slither Wing, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's understandable.
I respect it. You're ready to play in Worlds. You're set. Congrats on that Worlds invite. I'm looking forward to that Fluttermane set winning.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Yokohama Open. Oh wait, never mind. Never mind. Anywho, next question. Number 5, which archetype will underperform? So what's the archetype? You don't have to give a whole 6 Pokemon thing. Just like a core, maybe 2 Pokemon, like a type of strategy that you don't think is going to do great. Tailwind, Trick Room, whatever you're feeling. What's going to underperform at the World Championship?
Ooh, it's a hard one. Because I'm trying to, like, think through different archetypes in my head, and it could be
like a 2 Pokemon combo that you think is like a lot of people are really hyped on, like a Tornadus, Regidrago. If you think like, oh, it's too easy, like everyone's gonna know you're gonna Tailwind and Dragon Energy or whatever. Like, what's something you don't think will do well?
Oh my goodness, I think maybe just balance in general. I think balance is definitely something that gets really fleshed out once a format goes along. I think early format, this is just going to be too chaotic. I think the Trick Room teams are going to be strong. I don't think one will win. I do think that they will pick off teams, and I think that there's going to be some heavy hitter Tailwind teams, and I think balance, you got to be so prepared up against everything, and considering that, like, what's even happening right now? Yeah, I think it would be just a really, really tricky play. So I think people that kind of lean towards that play style, if they come with that right 6, they actually manage to crack it, it will win the entire thing. I think beyond that, I think it'll be pretty underwhelming at Worlds considering just the chaos of it.
Now there's balance, but there's also balance. Are you throwing the Palafin balance into that same category? Because everybody's giving up on Palafin.
That'll be the worst balance team out there is this Palance.
Wow.
Why? Okay, just why do you want Palafin when you have Urshifu?
Because Palafin is the protagonist of Scarlet and Violet. It's the hero of the story. Urshifu has had everything in its life handed to it on its silver platter. It crits through everything. It breaks through Protect. There's no struggle. There's no internal reason for me to relate or, cheer for Urshifu. But my boy Palafin, 0 to hero, all of the time, everyone just, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And then dominating the format. And then it has a straight up no-show at NAIC. And I think this is the moment. It could happen. It could come back. It could be the capstone. We're in the climax of the Scarlet and Violet movie right now, and it's. We have ascended and Palafin returns. The prodigal son returns, Sierra.
We have talked so much about Palafin, and it's had its time. You know where it's at right now? Hero. You know where it's going to go at Worlds? 0. It'll go hero to 0. That's exactly where it's headed. Like, the day that Palafin is going to hit through protect and crit every turn, like, you know what, that'll be the right glory. But that's its competition right now. It's a tough road out there.
That's the DLC where it's like ability instead of 0 to hero is like hero to god. Like it starts hero and then you switch out and then it's a god. It breaks everything. Oh, could you imagine if Jet Punch broke through protect? Oh my god.
I do not want to live with that.
Let's not give Game Freak ideas. Okay. My answer, the archetype I think will underperform is Qianpao Dragonite. And specifically, I think this is a hot take, I think it's the Dragonite portion of it. I think Qianpao's busted. I've said it since Regulation C started. Qianpao is awesome, not even just for its own damage, but by making its teammate better. And I think Dragonite is the one that's really going to struggle because, boy, are those Terra Normal Choice Band Extreme Speeds so easy to anticipate, and trying to play around with a Terra Ghost on Qianpao or Ghost Type Fluttermane or Indeedee setting up Psychic Terrain. Like, there's a lot of moments like that I think Dragonite is really going to struggle. I think there might be a better chance at like a Dragon Dance Terra Flying set on the Dragonite, but like the pure offensive Qianpao Dragonite, like I just click 2 priority attacks with Sword of Ruin on the field, like I think that is gonna underperform.
Which I think of that as how somebody's running Qianpao Dragonite, that it will 100% underperform. I'm right there with you. I think if somebody's using the team right and isn't just like, let's click the easy destroy buttons, that I feel like those Pokemon have a lot of potential. It's just actually bringing the right forward with it and not playing it in such a predictable way. Because like the combination now, Dragonite is one of those Pokemon that I'm just, first of all, I don't like the Pokemon just on a personal level. I think he looks weird.
You don't like the Dragonite comeback?
No, I just the Pokemon looks weird. Nope. Beyond that, I hate playing against it because it always just bodies me because it's good when good players use it. So that's kind of like what I'm looking out for at that core, you know?
Okay, I got you. All right, question number 6. Which niche Pokemon will go the furthest? So not necessarily win the World Championship, maybe. And when I say niche, like you would think something like, let's say less than 5% usage. Like you don't say Iron Hands. You know what I mean? Like don't say Flutterway. Like don't say Qianpao. Like something that is low usage that maybe finishes top 8 or top 16. What's your niche pick to perform well?
So this was actually one that you put down as an example in our messages of like, what should be a niche Pokemon. I'm gonna say Hisuian Arcanine.
Ooh, I know Lorcy is a big Hisuian Arcanine fan.
Yeah, so I've just kind of seen it popping around. I mean, obviously Arcanine has just been doing fantastic, and then being able to have an Intimidator as well, something that's not just like straight fire. I mean, you just get like extra bodied by water now, but that's like why we have Terastallization, since it is a rock fire type. Like
yeah, but you Terra out of that typing immediately.
Yeah, you get out of there, but like just the other coverage it has, like, have you ever wanted to make your Arcanine better? We'll give it Rock Slide. Like, I don't know, like that just kind of seems cool.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Okay, I would not have thought, because I've definitely seen more Hisuian Arcanine than regular Arcanine at this point, right? Like I think a lot of people want to play with the new toy, and they both have Intimidate. Or you can use, I think it's Rockhead, so you don't take damage from recoil on Flare Blitz, which is pretty cool. But that's not my choice. This is my hot take. I think that Hisuian Lilligant will top 8 the World Championship because it is regular Lilligant but better, because it's an actual physical threat. Like Lilligant, you miss your Leaf Storm half the time anyway, but the physical Hisuian Lilligant has close combat. It's a fighting type. It's more accurate, right? So it's more consistent, and you still have a double speed Sleep Powder. Like if you want to go for that strategy, you still have the chlorophyll boosting like regular Lilligant there. So I think a lot of people are. Amoonguss has kind of dipped down in a lot of people's thoughts because they might not there's so much Terra grass in this format because of Urshifu, right? You want to turn into a grass type, that I feel like that people are disrespecting and might not have as many safety goggles on their team. So my hope is that Hisui and Lilligant catches those teams off guard and like actually lay in sleep powder. We'll see.
I just worry about it going up against the rain out there, because then goodbye double speed and hello assured destruction, you know. But that could be cool. I didn't even know. It just goes back to I didn't play Legends. I didn't actually know that Hisui and Lilligant existed until like a month or two ago.
Oh my
and somebody
Sarah.
sent me a team, and there was this Hisui and Lilligant. I'm
so
like,
is that a fake mon? Did you put a fake mon on the team?
Yeah, this home update has been a trip as a non-Legends Arceus user. I'll give you that.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to you have to play Legends eventually to get your Landers and your Cresselia and your Heat Rain. You're gonna have to maybe make a stream out of it. You know, there's shinies. There's a lot of shinies in Legends, so.
You know, I have to play it at some point. that was going to be maybe what I try to do on my flight to Japan, so that I'm ready for the regional season.
It's a good game. I definitely think you should, give it a chance, especially now that we need it for the Legends. But let's see. Next question. Number 7. Which Legend of Ruin will be on the most top cut teams?
Wo Chien. I'm just kidding.
Yo.
And
no,
you're just like
you.
free plushie in my.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. I feel like I'm always answering for.
That's fine. That's fine.
I
That's
know
fine.
which one. I know which
That's
one
fine.
in my head. I'm just swapping it up. You know.
So I think we're gonna end up in the same spot here, but I do think it's Chien Pao, because Chien Pao is busted. I don't know how else to say it. It's incredibly fast. It has priority. It has really strong attack, lowers your defense to everyone else on the field, and not only is Chien Pao strong, it makes all your other physical attackers really strong. I've also seen, like, I was watching videos that more people are now opting for Icicle Crash on Chien Pao instead of Ice Spinner, because while it might miss, it has a flinch chance and it has higher base power, and that extra base power you actually need to one-shot the Rillaboom. Like Ice Spinner doesn't one-shot fully invested Rillaboom the way that Icicle Crash can. So that's my choice, Chien Pao.
Yeah, I'll go with the Ice Weasel. Honestly, there was a part of me that kind of wanted to be like, oh, Chiyu is so strong, but then it just goes back to, Urshifu, that's just not gonna go over well, to where I feel like it would just have to be Chien Pao anyways, on top of just enabling some of the really strong Pokemon going in. So that's a easy peasy.
Okay, but real talk, if we go back to one of our prior questions on what Pokemon I'd bring, no matter what, the second Pokemon on that list next to that Fluttermane would be Terra, Water, Safety Goggles, Nasty Plot, Chiyu. That would be the second Pokemon on my team. Now I only need 4, because Chiyu's going to help out the Fluttermane. I'm immune to Amoonguss or Hisui and Lilligant if I'm worried about it, right? So I wish I could say Chiyu here, but I just think Chien Pao is so good that I don't think Chiyu's going to match up.
So the real question on your team, how many would have water terrestrialization on your team? Because already two
It's
of
a
your
lot.
must-brings are water terrestrializations.
Well, if you think about it, if I also have Amoonguss on the team, then that's got to be Terra Water too, right? You just got to do it, right? So
Amoonguss is my favorite water type. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, you're worried about Icicle Crash on the other side from Chien Pao. You got turned into a water type. But no, if I had 6 Pokemon, I think at least probably 3 out of my 6 Pokemon would be Terra Water, literally just because of how strong Urshifu is.
Yeah. No, that's...
And then 2 Terra Grasses, so like 5 of my 6 Pokemon are anti-Urshifu. That's how I feel.
So then what's the strong electric type out there? Where is that coming into play?
Terra Ice Regieleki. That's how you do it.
Alright, lucky
We got
for
this
Worlds.
covered.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we're good.
All right, let's go to the next one. Here, I'll answer the second half of the questions, since you answered the first half first. So I'll go first here. Okay.
Oops to me asking this question right before this one.
Oh, Jesus. What would be the most common Terra Pokemon type in top 8? So not necessarily just... So, like, let's say you said Urshifu earlier, right? What is the Urshifu typing. So not just in top 8, but also the Pokemon. So, like, I'll go first and I'll say Terra Water Urshifu will be the most common Terra used in Top Cut.
See, like, I want to answer differently because I want to keep things interesting, but I don't even feel like it's a question, honestly.
Well, you could have Terra Grass Heatran, you could have Terra, Terra Water Fluttermane, you could have...
it's just, like, maybe somebody is going to do something wonky and change something up, but I don't see the Urshifu swapping it up, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I just...
Or, okay, think about it this way. If you think I know you already said Urshifu was going to be the most in Top Cut, but let's say, for argument's sake, you think there's going to be more Qianpao. Pretty much exclusively, Qianpao is like Terra Ghost, right? For the most part. Let's say like 98% of the time it's Terra Ghost. So, like, statistically, even if Terra Water Urshifu's getting clicked more often, there are more Terra Ghost Qianpaos showing up in Top Cut. That's the only way you can get around it.
You're trying to convince me so much to swap off of the Terra Water Urshifu choice so you can win the plushie. I respect it. Don't get me wrong. I'm still gonna pick it for this answer, but I respect the hustle.
All right. You're picking up what I'm putting down there. Okay.
I think it's just a no-brainer, honestly. Like, I think that there's so many things that are volatile, and it's like, yeah, things are probably gonna go in the way of Terra Grass Heatran. He's probably going in the way, and like a Terra Water Fluttermane, but it's just like there's this certainty in that Terra Water Urshifu, you know?
Yeah, for sure. All right, next question here. Who will have the highest, or who will be the highest usage Pokemon besides Fluttermane and Urshifu? Because obviously that's not a fun question. They're going to be 1 and 2. We know that. Yeah. Who is that number 3 slot on that usage graphic?
Do we also want to take Genies out of this, since we did answer which Genie we thought was going to be the most used?
No. You can...
You want to conclude?
Well, no, because do you think Tornadus is going to be more used than Amoonguss, Rillaboom, Heatran, Qianpao, Iron Hands?
Yeah.
If that's your answer. That's fine.
Okay. I was just curious if we had talked about Genies. Yeah.
All right. So my thought is Amoonguss. I think Amoonguss will be number 3 because I think a lot of people are going to be scared at this format and they're going to like go to Comfort and be like, "Oh, I need something that can switch it and take a hit." So I think they're just going to default to Amoonguss.
No, that's definitely fair. My thing with Torn is just, I feel like it could work on a couple of different... I guess that's the exact same with the Amoonguss. It can work on a couple of different things, but Amoonguss is like, it's that comfort where Torn is like that shiny new object, you know? Yeah. It's that toy you just got at Christmas that is actually maybe not as good as like the toys you already had, but like it's the cooler fire truck now. Like, it's the shiny one. Like, that's the one you want to use, so...
I'm happy we disagreed on that one, because if we both said the same, I would have been like, "Oh, bummer, we're gonna have the same."
Yeah, we're gonna start getting really
We're gonna have to go to
who's
the 4th most popular Pokemon then, if we did that.
Who's the 36th most common Pokemon? We'd have to ask Pokemon really kindly for some stats.
That's the tiebreaker, right? That's the tiebreaker.
Is the 36th most common Pokemon?
Yeah. All right, next question. We only have 2 more questions here, so we're almost through the predictions, and we can talk about, regional circuit, championship points, structure, all that stuff. So, second to last prediction. Which Reggie is more likely to win the World Championships? Regieleki or Regidrago? Now, no, this is not who will have more in Top Cut or anything like that. It is which of these 2 is more likely to be on the championship winning team.
So, like, if one of us gets this right, do we just automatically win?
No, I think it's just worth 1 point. It's a big hit if you hit it. I'll agree with you there.
Do we get 2 points? Because, like, you're most likely to win?
No, because I just think it's an interesting point, because I think the reason I didn't just do Top Cut, right? Because it's obviously Regieleki has way higher usage than Drago. But my thought process on the question is Regidrago a core by itself, which is somewhat one-dimensional, but like is effective? Is that strategy more likely to win, or is Regieleki just supporting the squad, being on a team of 6, more likely to win?
I'm gonna go for the supportive option in the Regieleki. Honestly, that one's for Lou out there, but I also just do think too, we're looking at the scheme of things. think Regidrago, I don't see it making it necessarily too far. I think it is going to cheese some people who aren't ready for it. I think that people building their Worlds teams out that are going to be making the run will at least have thought for a second to not get cheesed.
I think so. That's the safe answer, and I respect it. I think Regidrago is the Pokemon that is most likely for day 2 players to like not, let's say, I don't want to say not have an answer, but like not account for that if it has a performance on day 1 will alter a day 2 player's decisions. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna not, oh, no one's gonna use this, and then like if like one guy goes 5-0 like right away and qualifies for day 2 with a torn Regidrago team, they're like, oh, I need a better matchup into this. So like I think that's my vote is Regidrago. I don't think it's going to win Worlds, but like if I had to choose, there really is a part of me that feels like it could just like be unpredicted and like sweep through the format.
Honestly, I like how like there are 2 different train of thoughts. Is like I think players will like respect not getting cheesed by it enough that they'll think about it, and you're like, I don't think that they'll have an answer. It's like
I think a lot of people will just not respect it and be like, no, I don't need a Regidrago answer. Like no one's gonna run it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Ooh.
The surprise,
the conflict.
So someone's getting a plushie at the end of this one, Sierra. So
True.
Last prediction for the Yokohama World Championships.
Right.
Which archetype is more likely to win the World Championship? Dragonite Chien-Pao or Ursaluna Cresselia? So if you want to expand it more, since I said Dragonite, I don't think it's going to do well. If you want to say like Chien-Pao priority, right? Because you can have Azumarill or you can have whatever Palafin or like even Dragapult. We can count that as not priority, but whatever. So like Chien-Pao physical attackers or Trick Room, which is more likely to win Worlds?
Oh, my issue is I also just said I didn't think that Trick Room was gonna win Worlds, but I also am conflicted.
But do you think Chien-Pao is gonna win Worlds?
I think it'll do well. I also am not sure about like the old tricks in the new winning a new tournament, but I am very confident it won't be Trick Room. So just based off of that, I do have to go with the Dragonite Chien-Pao or like Chien-Pao priority, you know?
Right. Now I'm in a tough spot here, right? Because I could play the metagame, and because I said Dragonite will underperform in the other prediction, I could choose Dragonite here. And that way I cover my bases. I always come out on top. I'm playing both sides, right? But I'm not going to do that out of respect to my Moon Room brethren who, when I made that team and like posted the rental code and like actual YouTubers were making YouTube videos with that team. And it was so, Sierra, it was so funny. Like, because I respect the grind. I respect the hustle, and you got to clickbait. I get it. And they're like, this Weird Deer team's insane. And I'm like, Weird Deer was put on because my friend had a shiny and we thought it was a funny shiny. Like, it is in no way a Weird Deer team.
You're a trendsetter out there. What can I say?
But, like, it was so funny. I was, like, watching those videos with my family. We put it on the big screen. Like, oh, my God, this YouTuber made a video with my team on it, my Moonroom team. And we watch it, and they're doing the team preview. And they're like, oh, yeah, you know, like, Weird Deer really, like, it's really, like, it really holds the team together. Or above. I'm like, if you played 50 games with that Moonroom team, like, you might bring Weird Deer 6 or 7 times in those 50 games, but all of the rental code clickbait, like YouTube, I watched like 5 different ones that people used it on. And I appreciate it.
There was that many, like people are going off.
There were 5 different YouTubers that I saw use the Moonroom team and like, you know, put the description like Joe Brown's Moonroom team, and I felt that was awesome. Yeah. But like, anyone using that team and they're like, oh man, I got, you know, Weird Deer is just like holds it together, and they put Weird Deer in the thumbnail. It's like, it was on the team as a joke. I had a 5-mon team. We put it on because my friend had it. Like, and now you're telling your audience that Weird Deer's like the linchpin of this Ursaluna Cresselia team.
I have a new goal in life, which okay. All right, so the irony here is I was going to say I have a new goal in life to just bring like a 5 Pokemon team to just have the 6th one be a random one for clickbait. Then exactly. I also just realized that's what I've done with Slither Wing in the past, so like I can't actually even speak at any point.
And I have to defend myself here because I'm not even gaslighting anyone, right? Like, I didn't bring Weird Ear in the caster battle. I at no point in the tweet with the rental code said that it's a Weird Ear team. I call it Moon Room because it's Cresselia Ursaluna as the core. Like, everyone just on their own collectively decided to clickbait and call it a Weird Ear team, and it was just like,
you're the Weird Ear guy now. Sorry.
For lack of a better word, it was very weird to see that naturally develop. Yeah. Although I do think that's the greatest nickname I've ever come up with for Weird Deer. Do you remember the nickname?
The Weird Deer?
Deirdre.
What?
You don't know the name Deirdre, like a girl's name? No. Deirdre? Weird Deer?
Deirdre, I've never heard that before.
You've never heard Deirdre? It's a girl's name. I don't know. I can't say look it up because...
Yo, if there's anyone who knows someone named Deirdre, please help Joe Brown out. I have never heard that name before in my life. It's a pretty name. Like I'll give you that.
I think it's an Irish name. You know any Irish people?
Like not firsthand. I've not gone there and looked for anyone named Deirdre. You know, like I don't know.
I can't believe you've never heard this. I didn't make it up. It's not a fake name. It's like
I believe you. I've just never heard.
Deirdre never got to Canada, I guess.
No, it's no.
Oh my god. Anyway,
there's going to be one person listening to this. It's just like, how dare Sierra?
There's going to be a person named Deirdre that listens to this and be like, Sierra didn't know I existed.
Yeah, like they're going to be like personally offended. Like I will be their new worst enemy after that. So.
All right. Well, then if I can't say the Deirdre, then I guess my best nickname was Croissant. Thank you very much for that one.
Yeah. Okay. That was still the.
I'm still tilted about that, honestly.
No. You gotta say though the whole nickname incident.
The great nickname debacle of NAIC.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone who didn't hear, of course, Joe Brown nicknaming the Pokemon on his team did not realize that a traded Pokemon, once you nickname it, cannot get the nickname changed. And now he has a Cresselia named Croissant. Thankfully, forever, but thankfully, that is where it ended because I helped build, get parts of the team together. So, this Heatran, I trained it up.
I told Sierra, I said, because she had all the Terra Shards and the vitamins and stuff, I was like, if you help me Eevee train, I will let you nickname one of my Pokemon. And you were going to have, the worst Heatran nickname ever.
It was Hot Dog.
Hot Dog, yeah.
And then he nicknamed the Cresselia Croissant. So it'd be Hot Dog and Croissant. And then realized he couldn't change it. So I wasn't allowed to have Hot Dog the Heatran anymore.
No, thankfully.
Man,
God.
When I get my Heatran, I'm gonna name him Hot Dog. Yeah, I think you should have stuck with it, honestly. I think that's hilarious, but
no.
You know.
No, hey. Hugs was better, especially when Hugs tweeted. It was like, "Why am I Heatran?" And I was like, "It's a long story, okay, because you're not Hot Dog." Basically, is the reasoning.
But you can't just only tweet that you're not Hot Dog. Give absolutely no further context. So,
yeah.
All right, now that we've gone on from Hot Dog and Croissant, the legendary Pokemon. And talking about everything with Worlds, how I think things go down. There's other stuff going on at Worlds too. So I'm going as just a spectator. I don't actually have to worry about literally majority of the stuff that we just talked about. There's no more open. So I actually wanted to talk about the events, and we'll kind of hit on that first because you hinted to it earlier. But there's no more open. It's gone. It's the closed.
It is the Yokohama closed officially
Thanks, Jeremy, for that one.
As Jeremy coined the Yokohama closed, and I'm super bummed. In general, right? Because it's always I've been going to the World Championship since 2015, right? And it's as a player that hasn't qualified for Worlds, it's one of the only chances outside of an IC to play international high caliber competition in VGC, right? So I remember in Nashville, I think I played 2 French players and then 3 Latin American players in my 9 rounds in Nashville. And it's really cool to see the different perspective that they had. I remember 2015, this is a throwback, Naoto Mizubuchi, world champion. I played against him in I can't remember if it was the Boston Open or it was the one after that was a PC, whatever, in an event at Boston World Championships. He got top 4 at the World Championship that year, and I played against him. and it was like the coolest feeling. Like, I'm playing against the one of the top 4 players in the world, and like I had like a Pikachu shirt, and he pointed to it and like thumbs up because we had the language barrier, and I was like, oh my god. And then he just decimated me, like just absolutely dumpstered, best of one. I'm like, I get it. And then so I took a photo with him. I wish I still had the photo, but like those are experiences that we have because of the opens every year, right? So it really is a bummer that we're not going to have that for this year, since this is such a highly anticipated and highly attended World Championship.
Yeah. See, so I want to say, first off, I think how late it was announced that it was not going to happen, I think was a huge bummer. Because there was a lot of people that did actually, there are some people like, it doesn't matter. But like, there was people who did plan travel around this because that opportunity to actually play against people from around the world. Like, this is a big event, right?
For sure. It's literally the only reason I went to Nashville in 2018.
Yeah.
I went with a friend and we got a hotel and stuff because we had the open there. So I can see my friends and I can also play against some other players from around the world.
Yeah, like, it is a big deal. Like, there is people that travel for it. So I feel really, really bad for those people because of the fact they got canceled so late after they made those plans. I wish right out of the gate that they said that there was none, like, months and months before plans were made. On my own note, since I do want to try and go for my invite next year if the cards align, I, as a spectator at Worlds, it would be kind of dumb for me to not play in the open. But then I didn't want to spend my time myself. I didn't want to spend my time playing the open. So there is like that sigh of relief that I actually get to go enjoy the event and everything that there is going on without having to sit there and grind out this format and then play for, because it is a long day too to be playing this open. So that's kind of nice on my own personal note, but I do really empathize with those people that they were going there just for that. That's like, I feel bad, but I mean, that opportunity of getting to play people around the world is definitely really nice. I think if it was a US event, I'd be like more bummed about the open on my own personal note, but since it is Japan, I've never been to Japan. I kind of want to see Japan, you know?
Plus, even if the open still happened, we still have the gacha like lottery system. So like, not every person that would want to play in the open is able to play in the open as well. So I guess it's all for the best. It all works out in the end, I guess. Now you can
and the open was already like even before, like maybe it would have been first come first serve, maybe it would have been lottery, but I remember the first come first serves before in the past, and those were like, okay, keep refreshing. Oh, it's open. Everyone's trying to go and register right then. So it's definitely...
And now you can just go to the ramen museum on Saturday. You don't have to, worry about the open.
Do they actually, do you get to eat ramen there?
Yeah. There's two different... I've done research. First of all, Sierra, we are eating at the ramen museum more than once while we're in Yokohama. That's
perfect.
That's a fact.
Perfect.
That's
Certified
a fact.
fact.
So there's a museum portion of it, right, that goes through all the making and whatever, and then it kind of ends... most tours end at, like, a gift shop or whatever, right? Like, this one ends in a ramen restaurant. So you go through the tour, you do the whole museum history thing, and then you eat ramen. And then, like, you can just enter later on through a regular restaurant entrance and just eat at the ramen place also.
To get all the history and then just eat all the different types of ramen. All right. I absolutely
So we're doing it.
Yeah, that'll be Saturday plans. But going back to stuff that's on the lottery system, another thing that was a bummer for people was the pop-up Pokemon Center. So
yes.
I thankfully have a slot secured, so I'm happy about that one. It should be really cool. I don't know if anybody got to see pictures or got to see firsthand the London pop-up Pokemon Center they did last World. It was incredible. That was beyond what past Worlds have been for these pop-up centers.
It was the size of a small regionals convention center was the size of the pop-up center. So I can't imagine with how much passion and detail of all of these years that have been built up for what was supposed to be the 25th anniversary. Obviously, there's been so much anticipation from the Japanese player base and the Japanese Pokemon loving fans that I can't even imagine. I'm going to be so excited when we get there and we see all the stuff on the sides, the Lapras boats and all that stuff. It's going to be a dream come true for all of us, honestly.
Really well. I like the positive spin where I'm just people didn't get into the center. We're but think of everything else. But
the murals are pretty,
The murals are pretty. No, but The pop-up center should be fun. I don't know if you're already planning to take an extra suitcase to take souvenirs back with. All right.
I'm packed already. I have an additional suitcase with just like a couple of things in it, so it's not empty going through the airport, you know. But that is exclusively for, you know, Pokemon.
Wait, do you have a little carry-on suitcase?
No, I have I have 2 checked bags. Like, obviously I have a backpack to like bring onto the airport, right? With the little things in it. But I have like a checked bag of clothes and then another checked bag, not as big, but I just put like maybe like 1 or 2 outfits and like a pair of shoes or something in there just so it's not empty going through. But that whole thing is for additional things we buy because we're gonna need the space for all the stuff we buy.
So get one of the carry-on suitcases and put it in your big checked bag, because then you don't have to take it there, but then you can take it back because you're allowed to have a carry-on bag and your like personal item backpack on the flight. So going there, I'm just putting my carry-on in my big suitcase and I'm only taking my backpack on the flight. I'm going to buy an extra suitcase in Japan because I just don't have one right now, but then I can...
Maybe you'll get a Pokemon themed suitcase.
That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want. So, and then I can bring them all back. But yeah, you gotta lot that space. That's how you sneak an extra suitcase.
That's good thinking, yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Don't worry. But yeah, that's gonna be a lot of money spent there. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. But there is actually. So we've talked a lot about Worlds today. A lot. We didn't even get into the fact that Pokemon dropped a lot of news today, like everything going into next year's season.
Out of nowhere too, because we all thought it was going to happen at NAIC. We thought they'd give us the regional schedule at NAIC, and they like kind of did. They gave us the partial first half of it, and then like waking up today and seeing the message, like, oh wow, I thought if they were going to wait this long and not do it at NAIC, I would have thought they would have waited till like Yokohama Friday at that point. You know what I mean? If you've already waited so long, like might as well reveal it while we're at Worlds. But obviously, I'm not upset with it. We did get the information late July. Technically, I think that's something to be excited about.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Honestly, the late July. That is like the worst meme.
So we got that. That's good. But yes, we keep talking about World Sierra, but life will go on eventually, and we're gonna have 12 more regionals that we need to attend. And you know, even if we don't attend, maybe we can co-stream some of the ones we don't go to in person.
Yeah, they changed the guidelines. If anybody didn't see, they changed the guidelines for restreaming their broadcast. So as long as you're commentating over it, you're allowed to restream. So that'll be really exciting. So, I mean, hopefully we'll be working the events, but at the same time, if all of a sudden both of us aren't working at the same event, we can co-stream it. It's part of the OHKO crew, so let's go. But yeah, this regional schedule, I'm actually really excited that the whole thing dropped. Makes the planning for the year a lot easier, and there was a couple of really noticeable changes on it too. First off, like the biggest glaring one to me is there is no Milwaukee. Madison's been gone for a while. No Milwaukee. We have LA instead.
Rest in peace. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's LA like instead inherently, because like I would just like to save Peoria for everything. Like, oh, this is Peoria's fault. Oh, why is it cold? This is Peoria's fault. Like, I just want to blame Peoria on everything.
Dang Peoria.
Yeah, exactly. So, I am bummed about Milwaukee because the last 2 years in Milwaukee have been really fun. Like, it's pretty much built up to be one of my favorite regional cities. But we can't always get what we want every time, right? Like the schedule has to rotate around. Like we don't have a San Diego, even though San Diego was really fun last year, right? So it's unfortunate when you lose some of these like staples like Milwaukee has become the last couple seasons, but who knows, maybe LA or, you know, something else is going to take over as that staple.
I guess since this is a podcast, it would probably be beneficial to read out the regional locations so people know what we're actually talking about.
We're going to Pittsburgh. We're going to a Steelers game, Sierra.
Okay, well, no, I don't know about the Steelers game. We are going to Pittsburgh. I'm going to read these out in the order that they're happening in. September, it's only Pittsburgh. October, we have 3 regionals. We have Peoria, we have Sacramento, and then we're going to Toronto. That's going to be my home turf. Then nothing for November whatsoever, assumingly that is going to be LAIC,
right?
Because that's normally in November. Then we get into San Antonio for December, like mid-December. Then back to January, we're going to start off with Portland, and then later that month, Charlotte. Right away, beginning of February, Knoxville. Then a decently sized break, because there's no events until late March, which will be Vancouver, my other home turf. Let's go. April, Orlando, which is later in the year than normal, because normally that's like a February thing.
Right.
We have Indianapolis in May, and then later May, LA. So it does say at the bottom, and like last year they did add Fresno pretty late on. Dates, locations, formats subject to change. More events may be added. They could. I don't know if they will, but they could.
Also, the one thing I'm thinking about now, Sierra, is that, like, if we think about it, Indiana is probably the logical one that took over from Milwaukee, right? Because they're kind of close-ish to each other in the country, so... And Milwaukee was always in June the last 2 years. Indiana's in May, so maybe that was, like, the differing thing. I think that's also interesting, because... we have no inside information, obviously, but by the fact that we have an Indy Regionals in May means that NAIC probably stays in Columbus, because I know some people were like, oh, what if we get a Columbus Regional and then get Indy as Internats again? So I think that probably confirms that Indy is not going to return as the NAIC location.
Yeah, probably not. So people who like Indy, because like there has been a lot of talk, like I wish NAIC would go back to Indy. Hey, at least they're happy because we do get a location there. So, and then we'll go back to probably Columbus. I would be so shocked at this point.
Yeah.
If we're like, if we change from Columbus anytime in like the next 3 or so years, honestly.
It just seems like it's our place. And like, you know, yes, if it was somewhere on the coast, if it was LA or New York or Boston for international travel, obviously it would make life easier for the international players, but like I understand that, but then on the other hand, it is the North American International Championship, right? So Columbus, like kind of the center-ish of the country, easy to get to Ohio from a lot of different spots. It is expensive. I will understand people's gripes there. It might be easy to get to, but it is expensive to get to depending on where you're coming from in the country.
I'm just looking at like the logistics with like the venue size. The venue that size, if you're getting it somewhere other than Ohio, that is going to cost so much money. Like, Pokemon would have to get a wicked deal somewhere if they're going to be switching it out from Ohio. And I do not think in a city that would be fit for an internationals that they're really going to get a venue that size for that much. It's funny that we're like talking so much about the internationals because that was the one part that Pokemon didn't actually announce today.
But everything that they shows us what they don't show too, right? Because like the other question is when you look at a map and you see that there is no Northeast Regional this year. There's no Hartford or, you know, we've had like, you know, Massachusetts before and different things. Like, does that mean maybe the World Championship is in the Northeast? Is it New York? Is it Boston? Like, I know we're talking about things that aren't there, but those are like the fun discussions. We know where Vancouver is. We know what Knoxville is. Like, it's fun to speculate the things that have not been revealed yet.
No, you know what the real heat is? You know why there's no Milwaukee Regionals? That's where Worlds is.
There is no shot. There's
no. But
although that would be kind of cool because like you're in Wisconsin in August, right? So the weather's not like bad. It's not like Florida in August. Like it's not going to be too bad temperature wise. Like that would be kind of heat, honestly.
I have made this same joke a handful of times to different groups, and each group has been more excited than I genuinely thought they would be about the prospect of a Milwaukee Worlds.
Dude, those cheese curds were off the, were incredible, dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
If like that convention center in Madison could somehow grow to be 10 times the size, I would actually be really hyped about a Worlds there, because that convention, like, well, I guess I never
went to Madison, but all our friends tell us it was like fantastic.
Yes, like it was such a nice spot. It was like right on the like water and like a little pad. It was just really nice. It was cute and like you could walk everywhere. It was top notch. But Madison's been gone for quite a bit now.
So for you, if we don't count Toronto and Vancouver, what is the one regional location you are the most excited to go to this year, either as a player, caster, or anything? What's the one that you're like, no matter what, I'm not missing this regional, not counting Canada?
I am excited for LA. So I think not even just for the fact that it's LA, I'm thinking about like further down the line. Pokemon sometimes with the regional locations might be a little quiet places or might be a little bit weirder, but like right in LA, I feel like that actually kind of sets a good precedent to maybe we could start seeing regionals in a couple other like really big cool cities. People talk about like New York.
Yes, please.
Okay, like if we're gonna do a regional in LA, like why can't we do one in New York? You know what I mean? So I am just that one I think will also just be fun to go to. That's the last regional on the roadmap. That's always just so much fun. But I'm also just excited for what that could mean.
Now I would love to also say LA because like literally I have been in Los Angeles for a total of 37 minutes in my life, and that was the 37-minute layover in LAX before we flew to Australia,
which I'm sure
year.
Was just chaotic. Like
which
that's
was
not
chaos.
A fun airport.
Yes, exactly. So I am not. I've never really been to LA and be excited, but I would be remiss. Anybody who's known me for the last, like, let's say, 8 years or whatever, every year for funsies, when they say where's Worlds going to be, I guess Pittsburgh, just because we never had a regional there. And, like, I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. Like I don't care about the Steelers, but it'd be cool to see a Steelers game. But unfortunately, we're going before hockey restarts here. We could have went to see a Penguins game there.
I know, that's the real shame.
So I've always felt like Pittsburgh was not having regionals because it was being reserved for a Worlds because it was a bigger city, right? So I think I have to say in this spot, Pittsburgh is the region I'm the most excited. Like, if I'm not casting, I will be there as a player. If I'm casting, obviously, like I'm not missing Pittsburgh because I think it would be a bad character look for me because I've said for 8 years, 8 years I wanted Pokemon in Pittsburgh, and now we finally get it. I have to be there.
Not 100%. And it should be a cool location, too. So I'm excited with the fact that a couple of locations have kind of swapped it up a little bit. And notably, we're not going back to Fresno. So that's...
Well, Sacramento's like Fresno's cousin, essentially. They're kind of... Remember it was Sacramento for a hot minute on the graphic, and then it went to Fresno? So, maybe they're just... That was a spoiler for the next season.
It was. I forgot about that.
For when I say a hot second, I mean literally like a day. It was Sacramento, and then it was Fresno. We're like, oh okay.
Okay, they were ahead of themselves on that one. So
yeah.
All right. Well, along with the news of like the regional schedule, there was actually a lot of changes in qualifying for next year's Worlds. So, of course, the Worlds location is probably going to be given out at Worlds. The closing ceremonies, that's pretty standard. But they've already given out the information on what you can expect if you're trying to be going for an invite, and it is definitely ramped up a little bit. So invites were also pretty difficult to get before COVID, and the things they dropped because we didn't have locals. For VGC, we had a little bit of a shortened season. Things are coming back. I'm not necessarily too surprised that they did bump the points back up here. So for US and Canada, for the trading card game, we're looking at 600 for Masters here. And then for US and Canada, for VGC, we're looking at 500 from 300. That's 200 more.
It is 200 more, but there are also, 4.5 more months of events, of not just regionals, because obviously there will be, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 regionals that are pre the start of the next year, which we started in San Diego. We started at the turn of the calendar. So it's 200 more points with 5 more regionals that are available to us, right? I don't know if the math works out essentially the same, but you get what I'm saying. And local premier challenges, MSSs, all of that stuff is coming back. So I really do think the 500, as we saw this year, like at 300 and we only had, 10 regionals? Like, I think the 500's very, very well placed. I would say like 400's too little, 600 like TCG I think is too much. I think that's like the Goldilocks situation, 500.
If I counted right, I think we have 12 events total coming up in our 2024 season. We've squished 10 regionals that VGC could play at. That's actually only 2 more regionals added.
But we also have an IC. We didn't have LAIC last year, and we now have essentially 10 months of Premier Challenges and MSSs that were not available last year either.
It's true. The MSS ones I think will actually be big because the PCs, I mean, they could definitely
matter.
Get some points. They definitely could.
Listen,
but
I come from a culture in Tri-State with Premier Challenges where, like, people back in the day, it wasn't just a CP threshold. You had to maintain your amount of points, right, to qualify. I think it was the top 40 in the country. And like we would have 70 player locals, like 70 player premier challenges in Brooklyn. Everybody was like, oh, I need a top 2 for my BFL of premier challenges.
But that's why I think the PCs are, I'm not saying because they give so little or like PCs are icky, but like the amount of people that are going to be going to those for their invites to just get like, what is it for, it's 30 points for first place? Yeah. That is so much work to potentially just get nothing because, or like the best you can get is 30 after a whole day of like, that's so... You could play a whole... I see.
Yeah, but you foster a community at a local, right? We all became friends in New York and New Jersey because 70 of us were playing together every other weekend. Like
I live in the middle of nowhere. I have to drive hours to go foster a community. I think just to get my butt kicked at Pokemon.
Right. I think that's like a fair criticism of the Premier Challenge system is like if you live in New York or live in New Jersey, you live in Chicago, you live in LA, like you definitely have more opportunities because you have more events because it's more organizers and you have higher kickers so you can finish 8th and get CP, like where somewhere else might, like if you have an event in Iowa there might only be 6 players total. So like I think that's like one of the tough spots about PCs. But like what would the solution be? Like would it be only MSSs give championship points and PCs are for fun?
No, like that's the thing is like the system's kind of a little tough, but at the same time, I don't really see a way to fix it because you're just going to kill off PCs if all of a sudden you're not giving out championship points. And I think, like, it is deserved, but it's just, like, it goes back to it's rough based off location and where you're at. Because, I mean, even last year, like, it wasn't just a few months ago, I went to a doubleheader down in Ohio because... I have a car and I'm a content creator. Like I had the time. I'm like, we're just driving down and I got to play in 4 PCs over the weekend. Like that is, even though like that wasn't close to me, I had the luxury to go be able to do that. And like, that's not really something that everyone has. So that's kind of like that's the tough one. Yeah. I don't know.
No, it's definitely a tough. I understand it from the plight of the large player base of people that are like, man, there's so many good players here. I'm not getting CP. But then also from the plight of those low player base areas are like, man, there's not enough of us here to earn, valuable amounts of championship points. So there's no like perfect system. The real perfect answer is to just, go to as many regionals as you can in your area. Not like above your means. Don't go to 10 regionals if you're trying to just get into the game. Like ones that like, let's say you live in Pennsylvania, like, okay, I can drive to Pittsburgh. I can drive to, Indiana. I can drive to Peoria and maybe I'll fly to Toronto or something like that. Like just start off small and then you don't have to wallet warrior, especially because we don't have day 2 invites anymore. So
yeah, there's a couple of changes and that is a huge one. Day 2 being completely gone. So for anyone who doesn't quite know, for the top players, it depends on the region. Here in NA it was the top 8 actually skipped the first entire day of competition for Worlds and get put into the day 2 part of Swiss, which is obviously a huge advantage. You're missing like 9 rounds of Pokemon, and they eliminated that. Instead, they replaced it with a round 1 bye, only round 1. As well, they have increased how much money. So I think it's up to 12 now. Top 12 will get full travel awards to Worlds. And then there's like 4 more slots for stipends, so a little bit of money. So it should help out the day 2 race a little bit more and make it feel a little less bad, and then also make it so people aren't just getting this huge advantage onto Worlds. So that's definitely a big change for some people out there. This is not one that's going to affect too many people, but for those people who do make those races constantly, it's definitely a big shakeup.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of discussion online today, right? Of like, oh, is this good for the game? Is this bad for the game? Oh, wallet warrioring is dead because it's worthless, and or no, I'm gonna still go to every event. Like, I still feel like there's a lot of 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old VGC players that this game is their life, right? So even when they get their 500 championship points, I think they're still going to fly to Portland, and they're still going to fly to Vancouver, and they're still going to fly to, to Indianapolis, because not only, like, yes, you can't qualify more than once. You win one regional and you qualify, which I think is the best change out of everything that we've had. I think it's been crazy. I got a cough. One second.
You're so excited about this regional change.
I know,
It's making him sick.
I didn't want to cough on the thing. So the fact that I think we had a TCG player win 2 regionals this year, and those 2 wins by themselves were not a qualified. Yeah. So that I've felt for a long time that winning a regional should be an auto day 1 invite, and that's the best change for me. But like the 1 round thing is just like confusing to me, because if we agree that day 2 is too much, I think a lot of people agree. I think there was a tweet out there today that only 1 player in competitive Pokemon has won the World Championship since day 2 buys were created. And so that obviously shows the inherent value that day 2 has and the unfair advantage that it is. But then, like, is 1 round buy enough of an advantage? I feel like, I don't know if we hit the porridge, the Goldilocks system in that spot.
A little food for thought, though, about the once day 2, only 1 person has won coming from day 1. I am, though, curious if those day 2 players had been slotted into day 1, if we would still get the same champion. Because if you think about it, too, those players that are in day 2, I mean, sure, if you can go to more events and get more points, like, you will just have more points. You are going to get more points if you go to every international where the point payout's huge and whatnot. But at the same time, like, they have to be placing decently high pretty consistently, so they are consistent top players. So I am curious, like, because that is a crazy stat, but, like, whereabouts things would change if, like, they were in day 1? Is it, like, oh, those are just the best players, and that's why it's, like, skewed in that aspect? Or is it, like, would they have been knocked out in that day 1 portion, you know?
Because it's tough, right? Because the thought is, like, well, they're so great at the game that they would win anyway. But they also got to see an entire day of the World Championships that impacted their metagame and team development, because you're allowed to change your team from day 1 to day 2 because it's a new tournament starting round 1-0-0, right? So it's really difficult to answer because, yes, Paul Ruiz is a phenomenal player, and he's so great that he could still win the World Championship. But, like, you know, does he or does Edu or does Naoto win just off of pure skill alone? Or, like, did the advantage of 9, or I guess it's 7 rounds on day 1. So let's say not having to play 7 rounds of rock slide flinches or speed ties or paralysis, like, does that play a factor over the course of 20 total rounds of over a weekend, you know?
Yeah. It's definitely really interesting. So I guess we'll never know, but I guess maybe seeing if there's going to be, like, that consistency, like, once we get into a year from now into our 2024 world, see what players have been at, like, the top of the charts and kind of who makes those runs. I feel weird then about just a round 1 buy. Not because, like, not for any, like, oh, is it too little, too much? It just kind of seems very random in it all. Like, so we're taking away day 2. Here's a round 1 buy. I don't know. It just kind of seems like a consolation prize, if anything, or, like, just an afterthought.
And it's also not the same round 1 because, let's say, like, 2022, we were together in London, right? You needed to win 5 rounds. Like, I think Chuppa went 5-0 on day 1 and then just stopped playing because you need the 5 wins to get to day 2 and you restart fresh. But since it's going to be no rounds this way, people have complained about getting round 1 buys because of resistance before, right? So if you're playing 14 rounds of Swiss over the course of 2 days and you only have the 13 opponents, like, you should still, in theory, win your matches and control your own destiny. But, like, you know how this community is, Sierra. Like, sometimes they will complain, oh, I got a buy and it hurt my high resistance or whatever.
The resistance stories, though, sometimes are absolutely crazy. Like, the last event, there was this one junior, like, it went to, like, opponent stuff was like, that stuff actually can really make an impact sometimes. So it's just, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see once push comes to shove with just that round 1 buy exactly how that'll go down. It also just goes back to it. You go back in that same circle. If you're putting the top players in the day 1 portion of the competition, because if they're the best players, they should win their matches, well, then they should win their round 1. So what is really that? You just get into that same argument with, like, what is that round 1 buy actually really accomplishing if, like, the whole theory is they should just win their match.
I would also love if this year, like, this whole conversation gets put to bed if a day 1 player wins Worlds, right? Like, and they just say, all right, new era, no more day 2, and like, look, we showed this year a day 1 player can do it. So that's like, my hope is a Japanese day 1 player win Worlds so I can get that plushie.
So you can get the plushie. Oh, it comes back to the plushie. It all comes back to the plushie. But no, it'll be fun. We're so far ahead of ourselves right now with this 2024 Worlds. We got to get through our 2023 Worlds first, right? So
yeah.
But it'll be super exciting stuff. But we have been talking for a while, so I feel like this is the point where we get to our closing part of our podcast, which, going on in the future, if there's any viewer questions out there, this is where we'll happily give a little advice or talk about your question, answer it, yada yada yada. But since it's the first episode, I am going to pose the question today. So the question is going to be, what are you most excited to buy or get as a souvenir in Japan Worlds this year?
I'm very happy you posed this question, because once we open it up to the viewer questions, you're going to be like, rate my Oinkoloin team, and like, like, oh, why can't I win with Arbaliva? And
they're going to ask you like about how you made Weird Ear work,
Yeah, right? Oh, God. So does this make me like a bad person that it's my most anticipated purchase is not Pokemon related? Is that okay?
That's okay, but pick a Pokemon too, so
okay.
It's relatable.
So my Pokemon answer will be, I am obsessed with the World Championship Pikachu every single year. I even went on eBay and got older ones. I started in 2014, so I got the prior ones from prior years on eBay, and I have them all in a box. So that is my one thing that no matter what, like, even if I wasn't going to Worlds this year, like, I told friends, I was like, please get me a Worlds Pikachu. That's all I ever care about. Of any plushes, of any like exclusive playmats or dice sets or deck boxes, whatever. I don't care about that much as I do the Pikachu stuff. The Worlds Pikachu, because I'd love to one day just like set up a shelf with like 15 Worlds Pikachus on it,
I got Worlds Pikachus over here. Anyone who's listening and not viewing on YouTube, you can't see, but I got
I'm jealous.
Pikachus. I got some Pikachus over here.
Because they're all in a box right now for me. I'd love to have them out for everybody to see and be jealous, like I'm jealous of you now. So that's my Pokemon answer. My non-Pokemon, while in Japan, what is my most anticipated purchase is I want to get like a sick Japanese exclusive Dragon Ball Z statue. Whether it be Goku or Gohan, like Gohan's my favorite character. It could even be like Goku Black or Frieza or Piccolo. Like, just I want something that like I get a exclusive Japanese Dragon Ball Z statue that like I can look at, and when I see it, I'm like, I got that in Japan. Like, I can remember I went to Japan and stuff. So I'm not sure. I know in Yokohama there is a Bandai store. There's like a thing that in there that we're gonna visit on one of the days that we're there. I'm gonna make sure. Like, I already told Ross that we're going there no matter what. Because he plays like One Piece and stuff, right? So he's excited for that. So I am not leaving Japan until I get like a very sentimental Dragon Ball Z, some type of figurine.
The only way you're skipping Pittsburgh is if you're still looking for that figurine in Japan. You just haven't come back from the trip yet.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair. I'd have to say for me, for Pokemon purchases, I'm sure this won't be at the pop-up one at World itself, but obviously we're going to Japan. There is a couple of Pokemon centers, and they have the coolest stuff. So what I've been obsessed with is there is this vendor that imports things from Japan and sells them at the regionals, and I've been obsessed with the Pokemon earrings and jewelry. So I would love to actually go to the Pokemon centers and try and see like what is there and try and get a couple of things, because the wish list that I have for this Pokemon jewelry is so long, and I even bought this little earring holder for my Pokemon earrings because I have about 5 different pairs now, and I want to get as many as I can and wear them on as many broadcasts as I can. I know that's such a weird answer, but that's the one.
I think that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, they're so cool. Like, they have like this one from way past. It's like a Latios on one ear and the Latios on the other.
Oh.
And like some of the Pokemon earrings they have just go absolutely insane.
Was there a regional this year that you wore like Piplup earrings or something? Or you wore something in your...
Spiel.
Yes. Those were cool.
I did. I had Spiel ones. I wore Love Disc ones. I think I wore those at OCIC. I have Vivian ones, but I haven't worn them yet because I haven't just found the outfit that I want to wear them for.
You haven't felt like a butterfly yet?
Nope. I have there's these little earrings that are just Pokemon faces. I bought 2 Gulpins because I thought it was funny. So I have a pair of Gulpin earrings.
Of all the Pokemon, Gulpin.
It's just funny. They're little Gulpins. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool ones, so I want to get that. I'm also excited. I've already made plans with friends, people who are casting, to go outfit shopping and stuff.
Ooh.
So I'm excited for that. I'm a little bit worried about the language barrier because I don't know Japanese, but I think clothes shopping and just kind of seeing what's out there will be fun.
You know what else we're gonna need if we're going to all these Pokemon centers? Because I'm also like, I'm trying to visit. Like, I'm going to Osaka, so I want to go to the Pokemon Center in Osaka, the one in Kyoto and stuff. We're gonna need a Pokemon themed umbrella because apparently it's gonna be like raining like crazy while we're there.
We're all gonna have to everybody's gonna have to coordinate and buy a different Pokemon umbrella.
Yes, yeah.
That would be the best photo shoot. Just like all of the casting squad with all of our different umbrellas. That'd be a good one. So
yeah, for sure. You gotta stay dry.
Exactly. It is supposed to rain the entire time there. So wish us luck. But if anybody's made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Of course, this is our very first podcast, and it's not going to be nearly the last. So this is going to be coming out. I think we agreed on every week. Are we? I should have.
Well, it's going to be a little, because I'm going to be stuck in Japan for 2 weeks. So once we get back from Japan,
after Worlds and things are a little bit more normal, we're going to be uploading every week. Coming out on Thursdays, so when you're going for your regional travel over on Fridays, you have something to listen to, all get ready for the events. Make sure as well to be following us on our socials, OHKO Podcast on like everything, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Threads. I think I set that one up properly. And make sure to be getting in your questions, as we love to answer them on air, especially we're talking about like the competitive stuff of the broadcast, but like I really want to try and help more people get into the game. I want to get everybody that has a little desire to compete to actually come out to events. Like, that would be the coolest accomplishment here for me, is if we could bridge that gap a little bit, you know?
You want to be the person that ignites that flame within them. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a little, you're the flint. You put it together for them, and then the spark it creates. And then someone listening to this podcast, inspired by you, very well could go on to be world champion one day. How would that make you feel?
Easy. And it could be so hard and scary to get involved. So if we can help in any way, that'd be nice. So that's what I'm hoping to get out of this. But thank you everyone so much for listening. And anyone who is going to Japan, safe travels. For anyone who is doing their day-to-day, have a great time with that. Man, I'm going to end this on an awkward note.
Enjoy Worlds at 4 a.m.
Enjoy watching Worlds at 4 a.m. Let's go. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to the OHKO Podcast.